said, like we're not alone. And I think a lot of people have this idea is that we do everything alone. We're born alone. We die alone. And I don't think that mentality is helpful, because
Oh,
for one, there's a kernel of truth in there. No one really knows you but you at the end of the day. But we're surrounded with people that are looking for connection, that love us, that want to be loved by us. And there's just so much community and support that can be found in life. I think thinking about the individualism part of it, I think we miss out on a lot of life
yeah, I think that's a
in
bad
that respect.
narrative too. We're not born alone. We're born with our mother and father, or at least our mother. She was there for
Right,
sure.
right,
And there was probably
right.
a whole bunch of other people walking you into that world and caring for you from the moment you were born, and you couldn't take care of yourself for years, and they walked with you all that journey. And we're not going to die alone. There's going to be someone there in 99.9% of the cases. But the reality is that I'm better when I have someone else, because I'm not the person who knows me the best. I think I am, but I don't. I lie to myself constantly. What's going on in my head is such BS. And the only reason
That's
I know
fair.
it's a lie is because I write it down in the morning. I get up and I spend time with the Lord, and I'm reading scriptures, and I write down all these things that pop in my head. And some days I feel defeated before I even get off the couch. This day's going to suck. And it's not going to suck. So you need to write it down and go, why are you feeling this way? And when I write it down, I look at it and go, well, that's not true. But the things that are in our heads lie to us. The Bible says, be careful and guard your heart, because it lies to you. And so as you lie to yourself and you tell you this narrative that's destructive, if you put it on paper and you go, hey, look, this is how I feel, someone go, man, that's not true. But you can believe your head trash because it spends a lot of time. You've had a lot of time to own it. Bring out your junk. Let people see what you really think, and they'll go, no, dude, you're not like that. That's not you. It'll help you be honest, because we deceive ourselves. We don't know what our real emotions are. We think we do, but they're wrong. They're twisted. And it's only by sharing them honestly with someone else you can really get a perspective of, this is what I feel, and decide that I'm lying to myself and get clarity. That's helpful.
Interesting. Because I would agree that there are thoughts we have that don't serve us. There's, anxiety becomes fear that is overactive. And you think, oh, my life's going to end if I do a speech in front of 100 people. That's not true. You feel like that. But I think there's also something that to be said, that if we get better at accepting how we feel about things, then we can be more honest with ourselves. So I think there's a different side of that. Like, I don't know that our
That's
heart
true.
lies to us necessarily, but I think we do a pretty good job of denying how we feel. Because I think everyone on some level has a part in where they were taught to just deny how they feel about something growing up. I think we've been through generations of people that have been through poverty and war and all these things, and there were no time for feelings. It was like, where are we going to eat? How are we
Yeah.
not going to die? Whereas
Yeah.
it, and now I think we're in a time where we have the ability to start accepting, okay, how do I feel about this? And like understanding that, I think is the hardest part. There was a men's group I was in a couple of years ago, and one guy was in it, lovely guy. I remember him saying, he's like, okay, so I'm starting to try to accept how I feel about things, and now I have all these damn feelings, and I don't know what to do with them all. and we all had a great laugh, because I think that is the central challenge of humanity sometimes, is that, like, yeah, we do have all these feelings, but sometimes we have to realize, okay, that feeling is fear that is reasonable, or that's a fear because I'm afraid of rejection, or all
Yeah.
of these all
We're
of
so
these things.
skewed. We're so skewed in our perspectives. I just don't feel that maybe it's just me. I don't think I do such a great job evaluating my own feelings and emotions. I have some feelings, and I'm a fairly intellectual guy, and I have pretty good emotional intelligence. At least I think I do. And then I tell my wife, "Here's what I'm thinking about," and she goes, "What is that about? Where does that come from? Well, this is how I feel." And okay, well, you're my wife. You're too close to the matter. I'll talk to Curtis, my good friend Curtis Gare. Curtis, this is what I'm thinking. He's like, that's not who you are. That's not, you've never said that before. Why are you feeling that now? Oh, you're being too nice. Let me, and I check with a couple of people, and there's a consistency that I have deceived myself with what I thought my emotions were. And so
Right.
at least for me in my journey, I spend way too much time spinning this negative narrative before
Yeah.
any truth ever comes out of it. And we have 100% success rate so far in our lives. If you're watching this podcast right now, you have survived everything 100%. Maybe it wasn't as easy as you wanted it to be. Maybe the outcome wasn't what you wanted, but you still survived it. And so I think that's very empowering to look at, well, what am I going to face? A divorce, a medical issue? We're all going to get cancer and die. That's just kind of how the way of the world's going these days. So
Yikes.
let's not be surprised that we're going to get sick and die. That's just life. Everybody dies. But when you look at it, there's nothing we can't survive. It might suck, but we'll get through it. And I think this is where we become so defeated that we hunker down in fear and we lock up. And then we're not willing to own it. And then we kick in the victim mode and we stay stuck. But if you are willing to be vulnerable and be honest, really honest with someone who cares about you, maybe even with a radical stranger, just some dude you've met somewhere, it's better than keeping the lie spinning around in your head. And I just have,
Yes.
for me, not done such a great job in that narrative. So I allow myself to be vulnerable to people like my wife and my good friends because I need that bounce off the reality check.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that about not lying to ourselves. I think there is a proportion for however much you're lying to other people, you're probably lying to yourself equally or more
Yeah, probably so.
to keep that identity in check for I am this or I am that. Whereas I don't know. I think sometimes you said it's just kind of facing that truth and that darkness to get to the other side. I mean, how would so people watching this that really want to learn about accountability or for how not to play the victims, what are some of the easier levers that someone could pull in their life to try to help them be more accountable or and to not and to get out of this idea that they are a victim of their own circumstances?